Good morning and welcome. I'm Bob Pace. I'm your host on a live podcast heard around the world. I'm here to fight CPS uh, and also to hang on to your children. To hang on to your children. We have to seem to be having the same difficulty we had yesterday. It looks like all the Facebook pages are not working, and so hopefully you people will find me. I am live on YouTube, and I apologize for the downtime with Facebook, but I guess it'll be all taken care of. Um, I'm broadcasting from, I got flies here. Jeez, neat. I'm broadcasting from Southern California, Surf City, USA. And I want to give a warm welcome to all you viewers out there that have found me on Facebook, Fighting CPS with Bob Pace. I too was experiencing CPS. My family was destroyed, and I can talk about that later. They still are having hard times out there. Now, we have one person found me on YouTube, which is, well, they're good, but they disappear. So, I like to get started with how they interact with this podcast. And to interact with this podcast is the first step is just be in this room. When you're in this room, you're participating. Please take notes, and also down below, please subscribe to my um, podcast. And hopefully, the things I share with you or other people share with you will help you because I do care. I'm a family man. I have 6 children, 3 older children, 3 younger children, and I've been married 31 years. And it's been a tumultuous last 15 years fighting with CPS. That's when my trouble started. It started when, unfortunately, I lost my job through no fault of my own. And it was hard. It was hard because I've been working at that time already 50 years. I started at age 15 and never stopped working. And I've always found some type of work to do. But CPS came into my life through no fault of my own, actually, through a lay person who decided, or a bunch of lay persons decided to steal our children. But let me talk about how they interact because I've told you now, you in here, please use emojis, smiley faces, or um, thumbs up, thumbs down. Anyway, I like your expressions and so forth. But let's say you want to talk about a question or make a comment about the child protection CPS. Now, I call the CPS the child protection system. It's a branch of social services that is supposed to, by Congress mandate, to protect our children from neglect and abuse and to help out families in needs. So if your family is struggling and you need some help with food, there's the Food Snap program. There's the, you know, housing and clothing and all kinds of help that social service can provide. You can put your children in school and also help you with medical matters. But every state seems to have a different acronym for the child protection system. California, it's CPS, standing for Child Protection Services. In Arizona, it's Department of Children Services, DCS. And in Kentucky, it's called the Bureau. Uh, they Every state is all the same. It's the same entity. There's county by county, and that's what they set up there. Now, when you ask your questions, make sure it pertains to the CPS. And also, please show your name. You probably say, well, I got a name. Yeah, but a lot of times the names you give yourself on Facebook or YouTube is hard to read, and it doesn't really identify who you are. Um, I know you may be doing it as a political statement, but desert tortoises or high on the hill or forever young or whatever your name is, it's better for me to call you somebody like Mary, Bill, Peggy, Sue, Paul, Bob, those kind of names. It's just your first name. And then the city and state you're calling from, or if you don't want to give it the state, give out the county. I'm trying to get an idea where the good CPS is or the bad CPS is. And then also, if you're from out of the USA, you're perfectly welcome to participate. I welcome all people from around the world. So please give me your city and country. And I've got a lot of people from the countries. I got about 13 countries. And right now, from Bangladesh to New Delhi, India, to the continent of Africa, I have, three countries there, Mozambique, across Madagascar. I have the West province in South Africa on the west coast, and then I have Rwanda, which is near Lake Victoria, and then up in northern Africa on the coast is Liberia. And then over in Europe, I've had England, Scotland, Wales, and Denmark and Sweden. And then across the pond, I have Canada, both coasts, Ontario, British Columbia, Alberta, those kinds of provinces that they have. And then, of course, I've had the whole United States, all 50 states and Washington, D.C., that have either texted in or called in about their CPS issue. And I've also had in the United States 3 social workers that have called in. No police, but social workers. I invite any policeman listening to call in and tell you your experience with the CPS, and I ask more social workers. So far, I've had a clinical psychiatrist, social worker, then I had a third party social worker, and then I had a foster care mom. And it was interesting what they had to say. So I'm open to everybody in this room, and it's participation to help one another. So when you call in your case, try to be complete with it. Tell me what your family structure is, your kids, the ages, um, whether they're all boys or all girls, and then what were the allegations, and then were your children take? How were they taken from your home? That's really important. I'm trying to research that, and then where you're at on your case, where you're at on your case. You can tell me that in the beginning. It's easier, so I don't have to play ping pong ball and go back and forth and back and forth. So that's the second way of participating in this podcast. A third way is if you want to be a guest on this podcast, and I have a room for 9 guests. I can have up to 10 windows here on the screen, and so I can have up to 9 guests there. And so all you have to do is um, send an email to my show producer. Her name is Grace. She works behind the scene and helps me with my podcast. She's very helpful, and I thank her for what she does. Um, so you would just write her an email at vincentwdavis.com. That's Grace at vincentwdavis.com. That's Grace at vincentdavis.com. And she will help you. Now I'm on every day of the week, 7 days a week, twice a day. My times are 10 o'clock Pacific Standard Time AM for 1 hour, and 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for 1 hour. Now there are exceptions. On every Sunday, I come on at 8 o'clock, 2 hours early, so I can go to church with my family. And then on certain times of the week, like this Friday is Friday Night Lights, I have a football game that I'll be attending with my son and family. And it's on that starts at the same time my podcast does. So I'll come on my podcast 4 hours early at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So those are the times. You just tell Grace I want to be Bob's morning uh, Wednesday show, or Bob's Saturday evening show, or Bob's Monday evening show, Wednesday morning show. That's all you have to tell her. She'll take care of the rest. I'm broadcasting live on YouTube, and I using the SteamYard application. And she'll give you the link of SteamYard. And then that way, when you get the link of SteamYard, you can log on and she'll tell you what to do as a guest. Right now, we don't allow food, even snacks or chewing ice. Um, um, Drinks are okay, or no smoking, no smoking. Also, we don't use the first names of children, social workers. You see the other ones, and judges. So we have to refrain from doing that. And she'll tell you the rest. It says again, email grace at vincentwdavis.com. If you hear background noise, I'm about a mile from the beach outside. It's sunny today. It's very hot. We have extreme heat inland. Luckily, I have an ocean breeze that comes up the street about a mile away that keeps me cool. So it's not too bad. It's not too bad. Um, it is going to be hard to round up people, I'm afraid, because the notifications are usually done on Facebook, but the regular people will find me on YouTube. There is a YouTube link, and that YouTube that is connected to my podcast is the CPS Defense Strategy Consultant Vince, and that is the link, and it shows that I'm live. So hopefully you'll find me. So, now, a fourth way to interact on this podcast is a simple way. All you have to do is call in to my phone number 626-698-0990. 626-698-0990. That's my office phone, and I use Vonage as a phone streaming on my phone. So it's a direct line. You can call me right now. If you try to call me before my show hours or after my show hours, I cannot answer the phone. I leave a message and I'll text you when I'm on, when my show time's out on there. So I'd love to hear you. So okay. Um, So, as I said, my phone is live at 626-698-0990. I am taking phone calls. I'd love to talk to you, and don't hesitate to call me. So, there's four ways. One way is to just be in the room listening. The second way is to text me comments. The third way is to be a guest on my podcast. And the fourth way is to call in on my phone. Call in my phone. So, it should work there. So right now we've had somebody that popped in and out, but they didn't stay for long. And I don't know what you all like to talk about. I usually like to have you guys sort of orchestrate where you like me to go. Now I do have 50 tabs open. I can talk all about topics like ICWA and the 388 motion and the JV 160 hearing, and I can talk about the ICPC. There's so many things I can talk about that I've researched and I can share with you. Also, I have my rules. I have five rules that we can go over, and they're important to go by. There's something that I should have followed, which I didn't. Um, and then I could talk about what is a social worker. What are the types of social workers you're encountered, and what they'll do, and what your case will look like. Um, I guess I could talk real quickly about my rules. This is a podcast that will be played and people can watch it. So the information you get can be played again and again and again. Um, yeah. Um, well, I've tried to recruit some people to come in, but I don't see them either. And I did check. Uh, let me see here. Well, Okay, I think what I would like to do is talk a little bit about what happens when a child protection services, CPS, Child Protection System, is called. You have to understand when they call in, it's either by two kinds of people: professionals or lay people. Now, professional would be like a teacher, a counselor, a principal, a nurse, or a doctor, or a policeman. Those are all professionals, firefighters. If they see a child that looks like they've been abused or they're left alone and neglected, then they're by law they have to report it. And they usually call in, and 99% of the time the cases are uh, uh, dropped. I shouldn't say dropped, but they're done correctly. But the lay people, these are your neighbors, your family members, your girlfriend, boyfriend, a stranger on the street or wherever. They call in, and a lot of the cases are incorrect, meaning that they are using it for alternative motives, like they're using it because they want to get back at you, or they don't like your dog barking in your yard, or they don't like your bushes overgrown in their yard, or it's a parent trying to alienate another parent from the kids, or it's revenge or something like that. And sad because that's what a lot of late people is. That's what happened in my case. I did not know it at the time, and for 5 years, I had these allegations, strange allegations, like I wasn't feeding the kids weren't in school, they weren't clothing, I didn't have electricity or gas or water turned on my house. I mean, you know, if you saw my house, you'd love my house. It's a dream home. It's something I worked 40 years for to get. And I've been living it for quite some time. Unfortunately, my relatives weren't too supportive of me and my wife. Now, the relatives were speaking of my wife's mom and dad, her three sisters, and her brother. They're very corrupt. All they want to do is break her family apart and take her children. And that is sad to say. That's really sad to say. They wanted to take her children. And um, I this went on for 5 years. I'd meet with the social workers every time they call. They want to drop by. I saw them outside. Sometimes I live in my home. They couldn't find anything wrong with my home, or I show my kids' grade reports showing that they're getting good grades. They're in school, and it was uh, it was crazy. You know, I showed them the utility bills being paid. I showed them the refrigerator full of food. I showed the children's rooms upstairs, nice and clean and orderly. They all had their own bathroom, own bedroom. I mean, the house was huge. It was a two-story, high vaulted ceilings. It had a master bedroom with double doors and walk-in closets, a jacuzzi, and a walk-in shower, and private toilet closet. And, you know, it had French doors open to a balcony that overlooked the swimming pool. It was a rock walk-in swimming pool with waterfalls, a hidden grotto, um, jacuzzi. So I had two jacuzzis, you know, and the yard was decorated as tropical in the back and then English style on the side. And the other side was where I kept my two Siberian Huskies with their igloo and their dog run and everything. So it was well laid out. It was a three-car garage. I mean, you couldn't. It was in a private neighborhood 1 mile from the beach. That was my home, and they destroyed it. I had to sell my home only because I needed money to hire an attorney. But I had to sell my home. I lost my home. My credit's been ruined, and I'm trying to rebuild my credit. But it's really been bad. It's really been bad. Um, so this went on for 5 years. Um, good morning. We have Chu. Hi, Chu. I assume that's your first name, Chu. And let me see. You're from what city, state, county, country? Um, so Chu is saying this morning, I want to welcome you warmly to the page here. I went no contact with all my own family in my life. So you had no contact with all of your own family in my life. My marriage, my daughter became exceptionally happier. 3 weeks ago, CPS and the police showed up saying my oldest child, who hasn't lived in my own thing there. Wow, that's an interesting thing there. Home for the last 2 years made a very heinous allegation against me from 10 years ago. Um, so I guess it's your son from 10 years ago was making something there. From 10 years ago. He lives with my younger sister. Now she's filed for custody of my daughter. Oh, this sounds kind of messy here. Richmond, Virginia. Okay, Chu, you're from Richmond, Virginia. Welcome you from Richmond, Virginia. I'm trying to understand what happened. You said you lived alone. How did you have a daughter? Um, I guess you went no contact with all my own family in my life. I don't know. Was that before the CPS? Was that 10 years ago? You had a marriage and you had a daughter who became exceptionally happier. Why did she become happier? Then 3 weeks ago, police showed up saying my oldest child has lived in my own for the last 2 years, made very hit against me from 10 years ago. I guess it's a boy, so he had two children. And he lives with my younger sister. Now, your young sister has filed for custody of my daughter. Well, where's the mother of that sister? I'm still confused. Um, I know it's not true whatsoever. I think he said, so my sister thinks she has a way to take my daughter. CPS has no concern whatsoever. I'm married back in February. I'm married with a daughter still. Okay, so is this your second marriage? And this is your daughter by your first marriage? I'm confused. Yes, I do have a call in. You can call in, and that would be a lot easier. You can call my number at 626-698-0990. Chu. You can call me in. That'd be fine. It's 626-698-0990. Um, Waiting for your call. The phone is live. You can call in. Good morning. And is this Chu? Is this Chu your first name?
Jess.
I'm sorry, you Janice? Well,
Jess.
welcome, Janice. You're from Richmond, Virginia. And I'm trying to understand. I thought you were a guy at first. So you're a woman, and you must have had your daughter with your first marriage, right?
No, I'm still married, and I have a daughter with my husband.
Right, you're
I
still
went no
married.
contact with everyone else in my family.
Oh, okay. So when you were growing up, you had no contact with any of your family?
I went no contact in February of this year.
Oh, okay. So in February this year, you have no contact with any of your family. And why is that?
Right.
Why is that you no contact anymore with your family?
They're very toxic, and they just kept causing chaos in my life.
Okay.
Like, my mother had me in custody court for 15 years, and she never won because she could never prove anything. So my oldest child, he by choice left my home and went to go live with my mom 2 years ago, and then he ended up moving out of my mom's house in with my sister.
Okay, now can we stop there for a second? Because you said you got married in February. So your oldest child, I assume, is older than.
No.
Oh, okay.
I went no contact in February.
Okay, so when did you get married to have your oldest son?
I had my oldest son at 15.
Okay.
And I got married 12 years ago, and I'm still married, and me and my husband have a daughter.
Oh, okay. And then what about the father that when you were 15, is he still in the picture?
No,
Okay.
It wasn't a great situation. He was older, and it wasn't by choice.
Okay. Understood. Now, so why would this son, have you had contact with him all these years, or he just came back into your life?
No, he found some things out that my mom had been keeping from the both of us regarding his biological father.
Okay.
And it wasn't great things. So he moved from my mom's house and went to go live with my sister.
Okay. And so your brother's living with your sister, correct? Oh, no.
My son is living
I'm sorry,
with my
your
sister.
son is living with your sister. Okay, I'm trying to get this straight here. Meanwhile, you pretty much moved on with your life. You got married and you have a daughter. And now your son wants to adopt your daughter?
No, my sister, who
Oh,
my
okay.
son lives with,
Okay.
wants custody of my daughter.
Now, what allegations?
The last thing
I was going to say, what allegations have been made against you?
he said that I let someone sexually assault him for grocery money. And that is not true.
Oh, I understand, but you see the problem with the child protection system, everything that is called in, they believe is truthful. And you got to prove it's not truthful. You're guilty until you're proven innocent. It's the only legal thing in the world that most cases you're innocent till you're proven guilty. But with the child protection system, you're guilty until you're proven innocent. And that's what the problem is. They believe what your son say is true. Now, they're going to do an investigation and find out by talking to various people. Does your sister support what your son is saying?
My sister has never been in my adult life.
Okay.
So she's very, very high opinionated of herself.
Okay.
Like, she's a very self-righteous person.
All right.
And I think that she's coaching him to say it because she's very controlling, which is the reason why we don't have a relationship. She's never even been in my daughter's life.
So when your son made the accusations, how old is your son, by the way?
He will be 18 in January.
So he's not 18 yet. So
right.
He could be still taken into custody, especially if the allegations are not true.
Well, I let my sister adopt him.
Oh, you did?
Yeah,
okay.
Because he was a very unmanageable kid. He was, always sneaking out. He was very mentally and physically abusive towards my younger daughter. And it just became very hard to do life with him. And that's why he went to live with my mom. And then when he went to my sister, I let her adopt him.
Okay. So your sister has custody of your son now. Did she make the allegations or your son make the allegations?
made the allegations, and my sister filed for custody of my daughter.
Okay. Now, you have custody. You and your husband have legal rights to your daughter, correct?
Yeah,
Okay. Do you have the birth certificate that shows the
yeah.
father and mother? Okay. So how could they ask for custody of your daughter if you guys have a birth certificate and you're a married couple? You have a marriage certificate, right?
Yeah.
So have you shown the court your marriage certificate and your birth certificate showing that your husband and you are the father of your daughter?
Well, here in Virginia, you can literally go to the court and file for custody of any child, regardless if there's two healthy parents that are married and there's nothing there. The court will still hear it.
Well, yeah, they will hear anything. Anybody can make frivolous lawsuits. It happens all the time. And so, again, if you go to the court and you show the judge your marriage license and your birth certificate showing you and your husbands are the biological parents, and you do not want to give up custody of your child, right? So the only thing they're trying to do is they're trying to do a monkey muck that says that you did some sexual things with your son, which is very hard
So
to
not that
prove.
I did it with him, that I let somebody do it to him.
Oh, you let somebody do them. Now that person letting them do it, is that person still around?
So my son said that I let someone else do something sexually to him for grocery money.
Yeah, but see, if he's not living with you, why would they say that you let your son do it? You gave the custody to your sister.
Yeah, well, he's saying that it happened over 10 years ago when he was living with me, but he had a forensic interview investigator happen, and they found no credibility in it.
Okay, well, then that's another plus in your column that you should be the fight on this. Um, I guess you don't have. Do you have a attorney to fight this?
Yeah, we have an attorney, and he said that the judge is more than likely going to throw this out of court.
Well, right. It doesn't sound like it would be um, something that happened 10 years ago. Why is he bringing it up now? And why does your
That's
sister suddenly want
everybody's
custody?
question.
That's wrong because have you guys demonstrated is your house in order? You guys are both working. You both can take care of your daughter.
Yeah, and
Okay.
even the person from CPS, she even said out of her own mouth, she said, this child is not neglected and there's nothing wrong with your home.
Okay, so there's no neglect and no abuse. Well, there's the alleged abuse that supposedly you let somebody um, uh, molest your son for grocery money. That's the bottom line, right?
It was like a friend that I had known for years, but this person, it didn't happen. I know it didn't happen. I
Mm-hmm.
never let anything happen. I think it is just a way to flag me so that they can go into court and think that they're going to sling a bunch of mud at me that they don't have, and a judge is just going to give custody of them.
Okay.
This is what I spent 15 years doing with my mom.
Okay.
But my biggest thing is once this is all over and the case is closed and we're back to normal, I want to sue my sister for even doing that.
Well, once the case is closed, you can sue anybody for a civil suit. But um, what what particular civil right or constitutional right would you file against her?
So I definitely would file for things like emotional distress and, like pain and suffering, the emotional distress that she put on my daughter, having people that she doesn't even know tell her they might take her away. Because CPS, they weren't very nice the first time they came. They kind of like blindsided us, and it really scared her. And then here we are, back in court, spending thousands of dollars over false allegations.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that part.
And it's like, and I've asked my attorney about it. He thinks we definitely have grounds for the civil suit. But my thing is, how do I just prevent my family from keeping me in the court system?
Well, the problem is, and that's the sad part about CPS, it's almost like the point that you got to move, which is sad. Because as long as you're there, they can call in every time they. For 5 years, I had my in-laws, my wife's mother, father, 3 sisters, and brother, call in every week that there was something wrong we were doing to our children, which was never the case.
We've even talked about moving out of the state because of this, and just not letting anybody know where we go.
Well, I'm sorry to say that. I mean, it just really.
I just wish there were things put in place that for people that do this to family or friends or anybody, that there's consequences to these actions, because this is very detrimental to your life.
Oh, I agree.
Your finances,
I agree.
your emotions, everything.
Now, you want to file a civil lawsuit with an attorney, correct?
Yeah.
Well, to file a lawsuit, there's only a $35 fee in Virginia.
Yeah. But the lawyer we've had to retain now for this, unnecessary custody case, I mean, that was just a big check right there. And we've spent thousands of dollars being in court with my mom, and all I can foresee is doing this for another 8 years because of my family. And I can't take it anymore. I'm ready to just pick up and move, because I don't understand what's so hard to say. Please stay out of my life. You don't benefit my life in any way.
You have no contact with your family, so is there any reason why you stay in Virginia? I know you may have a job, and that may be the reason why you're staying there, or you may have purchased a home. But I think if you're going to have those weirdos doing this kind of stuff, I think you and your husband should find another place in the country, not tell family members where you're going, and start your life all over again. Start your life all over again.
I know. It's a lot easier said than done.
Well, I'm looking at filing a lawsuit right now. I'm researching all the information on filing a lawsuit in Virginia. And you do it with an attorney, without an attorney. It isn't really big bucks, by the way. I thought it'd be a lot more. But,
Yeah, we're a Commonwealth state.
Yeah, that's part of it. I think the problem is. There's a lot of information. If you just look up, um, you can put in there, in Virginia, what can you file in a civil suit? And there's so much information on there.
Okay.
And I just know that, for instance, here, for perjury, my attorney could file a lawsuit for $10 million, okay? But he wants a $50,000 retainer, and he gets 3% or 30% of what he makes, okay? So if he gets 30% at $10 million, but it is a hard job. He's won many a lawsuit, but that deals with things like lying on the witness stand. A social worker lied on the witness stand. You know,
Yeah.
there's got to be certain things they can file a lawsuit. Now, you can also get um, injunctions against family members. You can have um, um, you can have restraining orders against your son, against your sister, against your mother, and they have to stay away and stay out of your life. But they're the kind of people that seems like they have no scruples and there's no decency, and they're gonna to. I mean, if your mother had you in foster care for 15 years, that's sad. That's sad. That's not a way to be brought up that way. And I'm very happy that you have a husband you love and a daughter you have, and you want to make your a go at what you're trying to do. But unfortunately, there are bad apples in this world, and some of them can be family members. And I'm really sorry to hear that.
But I've been watching your show, so I had just wanted to call because I've been retaining a lot of really great information from you and
Thank
the
you.
people you've had on the show. So
Yes, yes,
and it makes me feel a lot more comfortable knowing that, you know, they're not going to win anything because there's nothing to win against. It's just really that this is just very unfortunate, that they don't see how much damage that can do to a child to keep them in and out of court, CPS, and just everything that entails a custody battle.
yes. Domestic violence in homes are really bad too because children hear their parents arguing, and that does over a period of time affect them. It affects them.
Well, it put a lot of strain on my marriage. Every time my mom would serve us with court papers, it was like, God,
Yeah.
can you please just stop?
Um, well, I think what you can do is get a restraining order for harassment, and as long as you have that, it'll force them to stay away from your case.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for speaking with me. I appreciate the opportunity.
Oh, I'm so glad it did, Janice, and I know how precious your daughter is, and it's so great that you've turned out. You sound like a remarkable woman after being 15 years in Child Protection Services hands. It's sad. There's a woman named Faye that had a similar situation as yours, and she was in and out of foster care 5 times. She was raped, molested, and trafficking, sex trafficking, and hurt and all that stuff, injured. There's a lot of things that she goes of. The sad part was because she was in foster care, they had a record on her. So when she fell in love and had 2 children, they went after her to take her children. This is in Kentucky, and she had to choose between her son with special needs or her young daughter, and she took her son. But that's how corrupt. And yesterday, I did call Congress. There is a phone number. It's the switchboard operator, and I wanted to speak to a congressperson, at the state capitol, at the federal capitol in Washington D.C. And I spoke to a live person, and they put me in touch with Senator Schumer, who is a Democrat in New York, who is um, one of the leaders of groups and stuff. So I left a message on him, and they have 48 hours to respond. So I don't know if they will call back or not, but it was interesting that that the Congress was open to um, somebody to call in. I know if I lived there, I could maybe walk on the state steps and try to meet senators going in there and so forth. But in order to make things change, their system to change, you have to get somebody politically on your side. And it's really hard because if you don't have it, you're not going to make changes. You're not going to make changes. So, in Virginia, I used to live in Virginia. What part of Virginia are you living in? Are you still there, Janice?
Yeah.
Yeah. What part of Virginia you're living in?
So I'm in Richmond. I'm 2 hours south of DC.
Oh, okay. I've been living in Arlington, Virginia, near the Washington D.C.
No, I'm Richmond, the
Okay.
city.
Yeah, that's down south. I know where that is. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, you could move another part of the state if you think it'd be far enough to move away. I mean, I don't know what kind of work you do, but um, California's a nice place, but it's very expensive. Um, there's no such thing as homes under $1 million, which is sad to say.
I mean, I honestly, at this point, I think just moving, even if we did move out of state, you know, just moving somewhere where nobody knows where we are, even if it is still within the state, like,
Yeah.
I feel like that's going to be my only option.
Yes, I'm afraid so. But it's a new start. It's a new beginning, and so it should work out there. So
Okay, then, well, I hope you enjoy the rest of your week, and it was very nice speaking with you.
yeah, I am too. So I will talk to you another time. I'm on twice a day, so I'm only a phone call away.
Okay, well, thank you so much. I
Yeah,
appreciate you, honey.
good luck to you, Janice, and God bless you. And I imagine your child's very lucky to have both you parents. I'll be talking to you.
To you.
Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, we had an interesting scenario here. We had Janice, who had a difficult case. She was brought up in a troubled family life and in foster care for 15 years. And apparently, she had a child that was her son that was adopted by her sister. And now, for whatever reasons, her sister and her family want to get interest in their kid. But she says she has a good marriage and she's really happy with that. So, um, um, that was what should she do because the harassment, there's allegations made and so forth. But she sounds a real sensible woman, and I really appreciate her taking the time to share her story. Now, I know it's kind of difficult. We got a Facebook one that came on. Great. We have a Facebook link. Um, we have the law office of Vincent W. Davis and Associates. Okay, good. So we have one Facebook link and one YouTube link. So thank you, Grace, for making that possible. Whoops. Up, it was there, but then it dropped off. Oh boy. Well, it did have Facebook. It's kind of crazy there. Anyway, we have about 5 minutes left of my podcast. I'm going to end the show at 11 o'clock. And I'd like to end it with my favorite rule. Rule number one is you need to get an attorney. An attorney is your key to success to getting your kids back. You may say, wait a minute, I have a court appointed attorney. Well, the court appointed attorney isn't going to help you. The court appointed attorney isn't going to help you. And so you need to get a bona fide attorney that's schooled in juvenile family dependency law. Dependency law is what you're in. And it's dependency courts, family courts. And they should have a background of fighting CPS and success in winning, getting your kids back. And I have an attorney. His name is Vincent W. Davis. He has 35 years as a juvenile family dependency lawyer who has fought CPS and won and gotten children back for families. He got my two boys back. And then on top of that, he has done lawsuits against them and won millions of dollars in both federal and state courts. So he's the real deal. And right now, made arrangements with him to offer a consultation. That means you can talk to him for 30 minutes for $60. That 30 minutes for $60, that is really cheap because you got his time and he will help you navigate and show you how to fight CPS and get your children back. Um, and if you like him well enough, you can retain him. He will work locally and out of state. Right now, he has a case in Merced, California, Northern California. He works out of LA, in Arcadia, California, and he has a case in Oklahoma. So he does go out of the state and so forth. But that's between you and him. Now, make sure when you call in to 888-888-6582. Tell them that Bob Pace sent you. Make sure you say that, and then you can book a time with Mr. Davis for 30 minutes for $60. And then when you speak to Mr. Davis, tell him that Bob Pace sent you. It's important that he knows that I'm trying to get people to see him. And I want to thank him for this podcast and making this possible for what he does. He has his own podcast, his own shows, and um, you can't go wrong with him. He's also a trial attorney. He knows how to do trials. So he has a really great track record. And I strongly recommend Mr. Davis as your attorney because if you're trying to fight CPS, um, you're trying to do open heart surgery yourself. You know, if you do open heart surgery, you're going to have a real doctor, and that's what you need with this case. The court-appointed attorney doesn't have the experience. They won't fight for a case. They have a caseload with 30 more clients, and they're not paid well enough and stuff. So it's really, really hard to deal with them. So I think you're wasting your time. I'm not telling you not to use them, but they won't help you get your kids back. So it's got to really be, it's really got to be a struggle. So I want to thank Janice of Richmond, Virginia, that called in and shared her story. And to all my many listeners, I miss you, Faye and Danielle and Natalie. Don't know where you are this morning, but maybe you couldn't find the YouTube link. But I am live on YouTube. You can find me on YouTube, and hopefully we'll get the Facebook fixed. I don't want you to ever forget fighting for your kids. Now I'm on again tonight at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So you keep fighting for your kids. God bless you. And this is Bob Pace signing off.